Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is use your calculator to find the first value of theta. So that'll be the cosine inverse of 0.28. And remember, you're never dividing. The only way you can undo this is with the inverse. So when you do the cosine inverse of 0.28, make sure that your mode is in radians on your calculator. Do you guys have your mode as radians? Okay, so then when you do the inverse, so 1.29 is going to be one value of theta. So because there are two values for every place there's a cosine, we have to find the other place. And we can see that the cosine of theta is going to be a positive value. And so let's use the all students take classes. So 1.29 is going to be somewhere in this quadrant, in quadrant 1. Do you guys remember how you know that? So think of pi as 3.14. This is half of pi, so half of 3.14 is 1.57. And so 1.29 is in between 0 and 1.57. Okay, so once you have this position, we know cosine is also positive in what quadrant? Quadrant 4. So anytime you have a point, you can reflect it into that quadrant, which means this length here is 1.29, and what you're trying to find is this angle. So starting at 0 and then going all the way to this point. So to find that, because you're in quadrant 4, to find this value, this angle in pink, you can just do 2 pi minus 1.29, and that's going to give you your other value. So if you do 2 pi minus 1.29, what do you get? 4.99, okay. So then this is going to be your other point. And then see how these are not 180 from each other? So we're just going to use the normal plus 2 pi k and 4.99 plus 2 pi k. Now, as you continue to do these, it's going to change quadrants based on if it's positive or negative and what trig function it is. There are general rules that you can follow for each quadrant. So theta is always going to be in quadrant 1. If you're trying to find the corresponding point in quadrant 2, to find this part, you can always do pi minus the theta value. And again, make sure you're using the absolute value of theta. So if it is negative, you're still using the positive value. If it was in quadrant 3, that's when you would take pi and add the positive value of theta. And if it was in quadrant 4, like what we just did, that's where you would do 2 pi minus theta. Okay, so theta would be the positive value.